I'm old enough to remember in World War II when the whole country came together, when we made sacrifices because we knew we were going to be beaten by the Germans if we didn't. Well, now we're going to be beaten by climate change if we don't get our act together.
Well, you think it's the same thing, do you?
I think it's an emergency, just even worse.
David Menzies for the Rebel Dot Media, and I'm right down at Yonge and Dundas in the middle of rush hour, and Faith for Creation and Extinction Rebellion, whatever that is, well, they have commandeered the intersection, as you can see. They're blocking traffic in every regard. Why? Well, evidently there is a climate crisis, or is it a climate emergency? I can't remember. Probably both. And supposedly by inconveniencing what amounts to thousands of Torontonians on a rainy Monday, right when there's a Raptors game about to kick off in a few hours, this is their way of getting their message across. So anyways, let's see what they have to say and why they're bringing such inconvenience to so many people that just want to get home for dinner. So, ma'am, what brings you out to this rally today?
Caring about the planet.
Oh, okay then.
Yes.
And how do you show that you care about the planet today?
We're shutting down Yonge and Dundas.
You're going to shut down the intersection.
Yeah.
Do you rent a rush hour during the rainy season and a Raptors playoff game? Do you think you're going to make many fans that way?
Well, I think this is maybe a little bit more important than a sports game. I appreciate people are very interested in that, but there are reports that we've got like 30 years left on this planet, so
how exactly do we save the planet, though?
Governments need to make serious commitments to zero emissions within the next 5 or 10 years.
Is that possible?
Yeah, anything's possible if you believe enough and you make enough of an effort.
I'm here for my children that, it's just too important not to do something. Yeah.
You know, some people in this movement, they say there's too many people on the planet. Would you subscribe to that thought?
Well, nature has a way of taking over. And unfortunately, the last climate change, there weren't humans on the planet. So it was the big dinosaurs that were wiped out.
That's right. That was the fifth.
Humans to be wiped out.
In a way, do you kind of make the point that there might be some debate about man-made climate change because there has been 5 mass extinctions? Like you said, the last one was when the dinosaurs were wiped out and we weren't even around. There were no SUVs and snowmobiles and coal plants.
And that's why the climate is the way it is now.
So, ma'am, what is climate justice?
Equality to everyone and putting the climate first instead of corporations.
Okay then, and I'm just curious, it looks like you guys are shutting down the whole intersection and preventing people from getting around. How does this bring about, I guess, climate justice?
It's an ultra-conservative, yeah, you don't...
Oh, she's not allowed to talk to us, ma'am?
No.
Okay, then. No? Well, we're an ultra-conservative news organization, so there you go. They can't talk to us. We'll try to find some people down here that aren't the sheep many of them seem to be. Be the change, time to act now. How should we be acting, ma'am?
Yeah, we have to be aware of the environment. The climate is changing, and we have to be aware of what we consume, the consume of oil, and we have to stop pipeline. Building that is a disaster.
So we should stop consuming oil, is what you're saying?
Yeah, we should, gradually and quickly stop it.
So you're here shutting down an intersection, inconveniencing thousands of people, and you can't articulate what your argument is?
Not with you.
Okay, who can you articulate it with?
With you.
Okay. So what is the point in shutting down this intersection then?
What is the point in talking to you?
Well, I'm just trying to get educated. You seem to know the answer.
You're not trying to get educated.
What would you like to see done to bring about climate justice, sir?
Stop smearing what we're doing.
Stop smearing who?
What we're doing.
I'm just asking questions. Well, I think so. I said, what are you doing to bring about...
You're looking for sound bites.
Here, give me a profound sound bite about what people should be doing.
I think I just did.
They're making cars.
You know what, sir? You actually make an excellent point. These guys are supposedly shutting, want climate justice rather. And yet they are creating more pollution by all these cars.
The detours and the D-routes is terrible.
Terrible. Yeah. Well, there you go, folks. They're not really winning converts by all the people they're inconveniencing, that's for sure. How about?
If we don't act with much more seriousness, like we mean it, keep the fossil fuels in the ground.
Why is that?
Fuel subsidies. Because the earth is going to fry, and there's not going to be a future for our grandchildren.
But you know, I look at all the things you have, the stroller, the umbrellas, all your badges, they all came out of the product of fossil fuels, did they not?
That's right, and I've been doing this for 29 years, and I've been collecting them for 29 years.
Okay. So it's a bit hypocritical to campaign against fossil fuels when you use them.
It's not a bit hypocritical at all. When did we become aware of this? The fact that it was identified in the late 19th century doesn't mean that the rest of the public, like us, became aware of it then. I became aware of it through David Suzuki.
You know, that's a great name to bring up. Why is it the climate crusaders like David Suzuki, Al Gore, they have a carbon footprint that is several times larger than the average North American? Is there a little hypocrisy there?
No, because how are they going to do their work if they don't?
I'm not sure I understand. How do you mean?
They're going to make their films and have their public appearances to persuade people.
Can't they do teleconferencing instead of taking a private jet to Australia?
I'm sure David does lots of that.
It just seems to me that they...
I think what you're doing is a cheap attack. He's one of the most effective people. If you watch the nature of things, it shows what is happening to our earth.
What do you think of Justin Trudeau's leadership and Catherine McKenna on the environment file?
I think they're taking baby steps, and it's a very bad time now, and you need to step up the action. I'm old enough to remember in World War II when the whole country came together, when we made sacrifices because we knew we were going to be beaten by the Germans if we didn't. Well, now we're going to be beaten by climate change if we don't get our act together.
Well, you think it's the same thing, do you?
I think it's an emergency, just even worse.
The Inuit people have been around for tens of thousands of years, and they didn't have electricity. They don't still have no electricity, and they survive.
So, you know, sir, I once went on a trip to the far north, and I was speaking to Inuit, and I was talking about life now and life then, and he said in his great-grandfather's time, they would use a dog sled to get around. Now they have snowmobiles that can cover the same amount of distance in 1 hour as a dog sled would take 2 weeks. They had spears back then, which was hit and miss if you were hunting a polar bear. Now they have guns, which is pretty much a sure thing. You're going to, you know. So basically they were saying this progress, this is the Inuit speaking to me, is great. They don't want to go back.
There are always people that will say that. And they will.
This is the Inuit you're telling me about.
Not the majority of them. Not the majority. No, not the majority.
How many have you spoken to, sir?
I go to a lot of meetings, and I go to a lot of Inuit and other things.
No, on a practical point of view, these people are shutting down an intersection. There's thousands of people being inconvenienced. Do you think you're going to win over many converts to your cause?
Inconvenience or death. We are really facing such a crisis that we're talking about, the death of the planet.
Well, another Toronto Extinction event has wrapped up. 15 minutes later, the intersection here is clear. Traffic is moving again. Don't know how many people they brought into their camp by causing major inconvenience to people just minding their own business and hoping to get home. And what did we learn? Well, let's see. There's too many people. There's too much meat. There's too much carbon. But for the climate crusaders like Al Gore and David Suzuki, they're special. They can have a climate footprint multiple times bigger than any North American because, I don't know, they're doing God's work in going around the world and telling the rest of us, do as I say, not as I do. For the Rebel.media, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies. Hey folks, did you like that report? Then please hit like and subscribe.